So we're just gonna go over this really fast before I show some things, because after looking at it, it looks like I won't have to show everything except some new stuff. There's a couple new things on pretty much every event on this side. Not so much the preschool side. I wanted to get rec done and on that path first. One of the things I did want to touch on ahead of time is that we will kind of be doing things a little bit differently the next 2 weeks to kind of see how it goes. Meaning, I kind of sent it in the message already, but what's going to happen is on each event, you're going to have like 5 to 10 minutes at the very beginning. You know, if you have a shorter event, you know, try not to take more time than you need to, and kind of cap it off at either 5 or 10 minutes. That way, you know, there's no rushing around to get the stations done. But I've been seeing a lot of people teaching whole classes, like one skill. Let's say round-offs, for instance. One lady had them all lined up and had noodles in front of them, and so they all did power hurdle over the noodle, and then they all stopped, and then they went back, and so they were pretty much learning to round off through one class period. And I can't see us doing that. That's a long time to just focus on one skill as a group. So what I'm thinking we might transfer into is here and there. It won't be all the time, but here and there it'll switch. So we have 2 week blocks, right? So 1 week of that 2 week block will be one skill. So you'll take your 5 to 10 minutes in the beginning, warm up, do whatever, and then the stations that day or that week will be just for that skill. So if we really need to get the hang of back bends, you know, we'll do the warm up for back bends. We'll go through all of the positions. Well, you know, you can teach them, review with them however you see fit. You're welcome to do it as a whole group, like, okay, everybody go at the same time. You're welcome to just, you know, watch one kid at a time. I would highly encourage you go through all the positions, all of the technique stuff, all of the, you know, cue things that, you know, they can think about, all of the things during those 5 or 10 minutes. That is your time to really try and get them to understand what you're saying, get them to understand what the skill is supposed to look, feel like, be like as a whole. So I kind of mashed the two things together of stations and then teaching a skill or reviewing a skill or something like that, rather than just doing it a whole class period and going as a group. So later on, it will be, you know, from time to time, one skill during that 1 week and then one skill during the other, especially things like round-offs, things like back bends and handstand forward rolls and all those main things that we're going to need to get that may need to take a whole class period to, you know, just drill that thing. But I'd like to see how this goes first and kind of see if it's making any sort of difference, you know. So with that being said, for floor, intermediate, advanced, and beginner all have different things to do for like the warm-up 5 to 10 minutes thing. So the easiest way I would do it is to spread them all out, either in lines or on the line or however you see fit, and do it that way. That way you can see everybody. You know, if we're doing, I'm going back to back bends. If we're gonna do back bends, you know, if that's what it said, you know, personally I would have them all line up on the line. You know, we'd start with our arms down. Okay, so when I say go, everybody's gonna swing their arms to their ears and look up at their hands. You know, and once everybody does that the right way, you know, then we can move on. Or, you know, everybody do it 1, 2, 3, go. And if somebody does it wrong, you know, everybody hold that position still, but then that person who messed up, you know, have them try again. You know, and then maybe you could have them all stand there like this and look up at their hands, and then one by one you can go over to them, spot them going back to the ground, make them hold that bridge until you go to every kid and help them back bend. And then once everybody's in a back bend, then everybody can come down, because, you know, that strength needed for a back bend, if they're holding a bridge, that's going to help also. So you're like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. So really breaking it down for them to understand, because we don't have the time, the space, all of these things to take 30, 45 minutes to teach a skill in one go. So beginners will be doing forward rolls, so however you see fit, you know, lines on a line, you know, start standing, squat down, you know, start standing, squat down, then, you know, put your butt up in the air and head on the ground, you know, however you see fit. You know, I'm not going to tell you how to teach your kids your skills and all of these other things, but if you need some advice or help, let me know. Intermediates will do handstands as a group, and then cartwheels as a group for feet together for advanced. So again, I sound like a broken record. 5 to 10 minutes at every single event. It will be a different skill for each group. Please take at least 5 minutes. 2-3 minutes is not enough time, no matter what class you have, no matter how long they've been doing something. It can be 10 times better for everybody skill-wise. So unless it's 112% perfect and they've been doing it for 3 months straight, then there's always something that can be fixed. So once that's done, you will then go to stations. My recommendation with this, so you don't stress yourself out, would be to kind of do it as a circuit. Or what I do with my kids or the younger girls is it's kind of a circuit, but you're in charge of how many turns you take. So if we have the stairs, the octagon, if we have 6 whole stations and we take 10 whole minutes and there's only 20 minutes on an event, that's 10 minutes for stations. You know, you do 6 times 2 minutes each, that's already over the 10 minutes. So it's like you having to keep track of specifically how much time each station gets when there is not enough time in the day to do this, that, and the other, and keep track of what your kids are doing, and not to go over time, and to spot them, and to do all this. That's a lot. So my recommendation would be, especially when we do things like this, is to take your time, do that review part, and then have them do it as a circuit or do it in turns. So, you know, everybody, we're going to rotate on our own. You take 2 turns at each station and then you move on. You know, because some kids will blow through it. They'll just do one and run to the next one, and sometimes they won't even do all of them. They'll just run around and do whatever. But if you're like, okay, we're going to do 2 to 3 station or 2 to 3 turns at a station, that kind of puts them in charge and less on you of how quickly they're moving, how many turns they get, how many, you know, different stations they get to do. Because if you take 5 years to do 3 turns on one station, you know, you're not going to have enough time to go around as many times as everybody else. So just so you're less stressed out trying to keep track of time and them and focus really on what you're doing coaching, I would recommend do it that way. At least see how it works. You know, if you have to time it, whatever, on your watch, you know, and that's how you want to work and you want to do stations like that, that's totally fine. Nothing against that. I'm just trying to throw out ideas to make your brain a little less everywhere doing things like this, especially since it's new. But I think that's all for that part of things. This will only be on the rec side. If I feel like it's helping the way that I want it to, I may transfer it over to that side for certain things like, you know, skipping, galloping, you know, jumping on one foot. We could do bridges, you know, but their attention span is not going to work out as well as it will over here with what we're doing. So we'll see. But going back to floor, I'm going to try and speed this up. Well, I've already talked for like 9 whole minutes. I'm so sorry. So I'm going to go through all of them, and then I'm going to pick out the ones that I feel like I need to show you, just because I'm pretty sure all of you, if not almost all of you, have done most of these before. There's only like 2 or 3 new ones. So beginner will do stair levers, touching each stair with the block. So start in front of the stairs in a lunge, block above your head, bend over, touch the top stair, stand back up, bend over, touch the middle stair, stand back up, bend up, touch the bottom stair, stand back up. That's all you do. Intermediate will do kneeling back bends. Try and touch each stair with the block. This one might be kind of difficult depending on how tall they are, so please let them know to scoot forward, backward, do whatever they need to do to try and get it done. They'll just be, think of a back bend, but do it on your knees. So hold the pit block, bend backwards and try and touch it to the stair. I physically cannot bend in my back that way, so just see it in your head. To each stair, come back up, try and go to the lowest stair that they can. You don't have to force them to go to this bottom stair if they're not that bendy. Totally okay if not. And then advanced will do downhill round-offs on the stairs, which I will show you. Hopefully this helps them kind of accelerate the kick over their head. Then there's an octagon. This one's new. We have not done before. They're going to do octagon forward rolls. This one for beginners you may need to spot depending on how comfortable they are. Same thing with intermediate. Intermediates will go, these are kind of for handstand forward rolls for them. I'll show you the different position that they'll be in. And then Instead of the octagon station for advanced, they're going to do the back handspring over the purple boulder to the wall for that station instead. Then we're going to have a pit block in front of the mirror. You're going to balance in passe on the pit block in front of the mirror for beginner. So just standing on it, no moving. Intermediate will do snap turns, knocking over the pit block with their heel. So start facing in front of it. I'll show you. I'm trying to say it, but it's not working. You're going to start in front of it, but your side of your foot is going to start by the pit block. So that way when you snap around, you kind of knock it over. And then half turn, knocking over the pit block with the heel. Same thing. It'll be on the side of their foot. They'll start their turn. If they're doing it high enough and fast enough, it should knock it over or at least tip it and it should roll or something. If they're close enough. If they're too far away, their releve is going to be over the pit block, and that's not really what you want. So, moving on. Back to beginner. So on this panel mat that's over here, they're going to do tuck rocks, squeezing a pit block to their chest, and then stand up on the third one. This is for standing up out of forward rolls. This is for standing up out of candlesticks. All that fun jazz. I will show you that one. Handstand forward roll onto the panel spot if need be for intermediates. They should be okay, but a lot of them like to flop on their back, so please be careful of that. And then advanced will do handstand fall to bridge off the panel, so their hands will be on the panel, their feet will be on the floor. They'll rock, and then on the third one, they're going to try and stand up, so working on front limbers. With the half moon, this is also new. They're going to do a cartwheel to straddle, landing on the half moon with their hands on the line. For beginner, round off to push-up shape, landing on the half moon, hands on line, and then round off over the moon short ways. So instead of going at it this way and this way, the mat will be turned this way and they'll round off over it, so it's shorter. And then lastly, in the hoop, beginners will do split jump rebounds for intermediate, and then straddle jumps for advanced. So I'm going to turn this and try and set it so we can... I am struggling. Okay. Alright, so some of these I'll have to move, and that's totally okay, but I guess I'll just start over there. So, you're going to do cartwheel. So you're going to want their belly facing this guy. I may smush this. They won't, but I might. So it's pretty much just getting them to understand that you have to hold the straddle above your head in order to turn it and come down straight. So when they go, they'll come, they'll straddle, and then land on the box. Whoop. And then as you can kind of now imagine in your head, intermediate will then go round off. Whoop. So then that way. And then when you go for advanced, you'll turn it this way and put it on the line. That way their hands actually have to be down on the line and going straight. So that one's that one. Here, I'm just gonna go this way so you can kind of see. So it'll be smushed up. I can't go that way, I'm too tall. They're gonna be smushed up this way. So when they rock, you can't let it go. Because a lot of the times when they sit up, they'll leave this part behind and then this will come out. So, pick them up, pretend I did 3, and they'll sit up. So that one should be relatively easy. This is the one for forward rolls. So really all that's going to happen, I need to take this out. You can get into it kind of like rolling over it if you want to, or you can have them kind of step onto it with their hands on the ground. Totally up to you. So you'll come this way. All you're going to do is start in a push-up. That's it. Okay, very simple. You'll tuck in. Like that. See? And then that will be for beginners. So they'll tuck in and then roll. When you do it for intermediate, for handstand forward rolls, it's all going to come from the shoulders pretty much. So the higher they can get their butt, the better. So they'll kind of come up and then roll. Whoop, I'm out of frame. So that's what that one is. That one should be relatively fun for them. And then lastly, this round off one, which is kind of new. The stairs will be this way. So they'll start 1 foot on the bottom stair, 1 foot on the top stair. And I know that looks weird, but they're gonna have both legs bent like they should when you go down into a round off. So then this back leg can push this way and this leg can push down. So I'm not gonna do a round off, but just to imagine. So they'll bend down, their arms should be down, not up, and then you'll push and you'll round off that way. And it should rocket them over their head because that second foot is so high and it's bent so far that if they don't use it to push through, it's not gonna go anywhere. And that's helpful because it is so bent that they're gonna be able to tell that they did kick the thing behind them and push through it, or they didn't, because they're not gonna go anywhere. So, but that's all for floor. I need to stop talking. I'm out of breath. But I think that's it. If anybody does have any questions over anything on floor that I didn't cover, just let me know. So.